Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Money Mindset Hub podcast. I'm your host, Carla Townsend, and I'm a money mindset and success coach for female entrepreneurs who are ready to eliminate their money blocks and monetize their genius online. I'm so happy to be back with you. So much has been transpiring in the back end, but I really wanted to take it back to the beginning. Like what actually got me to this point? Because I know, and I've been having many conversations with many of you in the DMs, which is so beautiful. Please come over and chat to me anytime. I will always take the time to get back to you, respond, because I love that. And I truly think that community is the biggest piece for me. And honestly, one of the things that I'll speak about here, of course, in this episode, but community is one of the biggest reasons that anybody has any success. So if you're not already, I'm over on Instagram mainly, but honestly, you can find me on every platform at Money Mindset Hub. So the last month, I expanded my beautiful team again and will be doing more so throughout this year. But I thought it was really fitting, especially in the conversations that I've been having recently with women who they're just done, right? Like they've just had enough and they've honestly just got to this point where they've just drawn the line in the sand. This is it. I've had enough. It's time to go all in. It's time to do the thing. It's time to get the business out there. It's time to just overhaul everything and start afresh. And I love these conversations. Obviously, you can tell it's something I'm just super passionate about, because seeing someone step into the path that lights them up and just do what it is that they were just supposed to do, there is nothing more inspiring than that, because then they just have this different energy about them and you can feel it. You can sense it in their presence, this newfound energy. It was always there, but it was just kind of, cloudy and you couldn't really tap into it. And I know if you've been on this path or you're on this journey right now, you'll get exactly what I mean. You always have had this big vision for your life, what you were supposed to do, be, have, create, experience. But somewhere along the line, it just gradually got a bit cloudy and it got a bit confusing and you didn't know where to start and you didn't know where to turn, and all these people are doing all these things and you don't want to have to do about a million different things on the step to success that you think you have to. Greatest strengths is definitely being able to simplify the process. Now, I have been learning about business, building my own business, helping other people build their businesses, even well before I began starting my own in my corporate experience and my corporate careers. This has been 10 years. It has been just over 10 years now since I started working in corporate. And now obviously I don't work there anymore because I'm all in, but it's been many, many years. And I would say the last 8 in particular is where I have just been surrounding myself with women who are doing the big things, who are doing the things that I would love to do, but I just never thought I was confident enough or brave enough or knew enough or smart enough to do the things, right? And there's a few key things that I've learned now, specifically on that last 8 years and 4.5, if I'm really talking about my own personal experience from starting a business from literally scratch. There's a few key components there that have led to this growth and to me being at the point now I can be all in, even whilst I'm raising my children. So if you're new here, and especially if you are a mum in business or you desire to have a business, like right now, it's just this dream, or maybe you're in the early stages, but it really hasn't got to the point where you can go all in yet, like it's not replacing your wage. I promise you, and I'm here to tell you that you can bloody do it, because if I can, you can. Like this it's not easy, okay? I just want to put it out there. It's not easy. There will be stages of hustle in your journey to get to what it is that you want. So let's just dive right in, because I could keep talking for days. But there's a few key things, and I first off want to go through them. First of all, the biggest shift that I had to make to actually get to this point of being full-time in my business, to the point of earning far more money than what I was earning working for somebody else, and feeling free, feeling lit up, feeling like I can literally create whatever the hell it is I want to create. I didn't just overnight wake up and be like this. I wasn't this confident, and I definitely wasn't this confident my whole life. So the first thing that I actually started to do was I started to actually listen to myself and trust myself. So I built that inner confidence piece before the outer confidence come, but I built that inner confidence that if I just actually listen to myself, my inner voice, my intuition, and I know we all have one. Whether we know how to tap into it, how to feel connected, it's two different things. But we all have this voice. We all have that gut feel, those real random thoughts and ideas and inspiration that just come to us seemingly out of nowhere. That nudge was given to you for a reason. And the more that you lean into the hell yeses or straight up no, everything starts to get a little bit easier. And it isn't something you just do once and you're like, yes, wait, I trust myself, like my intuition is thriving and it's always there, right? We actually have to remain connected to our vision, connected to what it is we're going for. We have to feel grounded. We have to just move through life. And in life, there's always going to be duality. And in life, there's always going to be times where things are great and things are going and they're moving and there's so much momentum, right? And then on the other side of that, there's going to be times where shit hits a fan and everything's going wrong and you just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you trust and have that faith that you'll figure it out and it will all come to fruition. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever heard was no one is coming to save you. Whatever it is that you want, you have to create it for yourself. You have to do it. No one else can do it. No one else is you. But you're the only one that's going to actually end up with regrets if you didn't have a crack. So look at everything right now, all the shit you've been through, all the hard times, and notice where things worked out. And at the time when the really shit things happened, you didn't know that that was actually going to lead to this beautiful trajectory of your life and these beautiful things that ended up happening. There's always a silver lining. It's just what you focus on. That's the main thing. Just start to listen to yourself, follow those nudges, and trust that you will figure it out. Yeah, maybe you're going to fail from time to time or feel like you're failing. Maybe you're going to fall flat on yourself. Maybe you're going to embarrass yourself. Maybe you're going to have people say shit behind your back. Who cares? Because at the end of the day, no one's gone to bed at night caring about you and what you're doing and talking about you and thinking about you and your vision. No, they're caring about themselves. They're thinking about their own problems. Everyone's got their own problems, their own issues, their own shit to deal with. No one's going to sleep at night going, oh my God, I wonder if they got that business off the ground. Oh my God, who are they to be that successful and earn that much money and go out there and blah, 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 right? All the stories that we tell ourselves, we have to just remember at the end of the day, every single one of us is connected. Every single one of us has a higher self. Every single one of us has an intuition. And our intuition is guiding us in the right path, but it's whether we choose to listen to it or not. And often we get disconnected, we feel cloudy, and then we don't follow those nudges because we try to make logical decisions. I get it. I'm a logical person. I was so analytical. Every decision was like systemized and critiqued. And I just had to learn to just let that shit go. Sometimes I had to make decisions on this path that did not make sense, right? Let's go into my next point. Sometimes on this path, to build the thing that it is that you want, like build this beautiful business that's going to create this beautiful freedom-filled life for you, it's going to take scary ass moves, things that you're like, I don't even know if this is going to work out. I don't even know if I have what it takes, but I just know that it's going to work out eventually. I just got to keep going, right? It's called evolution for a reason. And your personal identity and the woman you're becoming is an evolution. It's a journey. There's never a destination that you get to and go, cool, got it, made it, have everything I ever wanted. That isn't the way that it goes. And there have been times on this journey where I've had to put myself in positions like put myself in a mastermind, for instance, which scared the shit out of me, right? Because one, my main archetype is an accumulator. If you don't know what your money archetype is, go to my website. There is a quiz on there that you can do, moneymindset.hub.com/quiz. I am predominantly an accumulator. So I have to make very calculating decisions, especially when it comes to money. And I despise spending money out of my savings. Yeah, I'll say that again. I despise spending money out of my savings, okay? I'm not a maverick. I mean, I'm accumulator, ruler, maverick. They're my top three, but my accumulator is so strong in those top three that I don't resonate with the mavericks who can just like literally spend it all and have zero in their accounts. Like that freaks me out. So there has been times where I've had to invest in the mental that I got that full body hell yes I need to be in this space because I'm sick of trying to do it all myself and go to all the different masterclasses and download all the freebies and do all the things half-assedly. Anyway, you know what I mean. Do all the things and get all the freebies and be in all the groups and listen to all the podcasts and read all the books and do all these things that I'm not actually putting real skin in the game that scares me and activates me and expands me to step the hell up. And when I did, and I spent that money from our savings to, when I say our, I am married, so mine and Mick's, all our money's joint. But when I spent that money from our savings, because I knew that it was time to level up, that was the beginning of 2022 when I went into the first ever mastermind. I'd had a private coach before then at the end of 2021 for 3 months. And that really was like, okay, it's a one-to-one. There's no bloody hiding here. There's full accountability. But then I knew that I wanted that community at the same time. So after I did that, I was like, okay, it's time. It is time to get into a group where I am surrounded by women doing big things and this conversation is normalized. Even if I had to spend money from savings, even if that terrified me and I didn't want to, and I wasn't 100% sure how it was going to play out, and I kind of felt like, I just know I have to do it. This is a move that I need to make because this is the move that the 7-figure self of me would make. She would put herself around the table with people who get it. She would put herself in rooms, make herself uncomfortable, learn the things she doesn't know, and stop downloading all the free shit because that clearly is going to get to a certain point. And I knew that me going from where I was to where I desired to be, which is now, this is where I desired to be back then, I knew what was going to take from getting there to here would be to put skin in the game, be accountable, do things different, get the mentor, get accountability and be held and hold myself radically responsible for the work that I put in and the results that I got out. That was a game changer for me. That changed everything. And I know you would have heard that a lot. Like, you know, whether you can or can't afford it, okay, is half the time it's your perception of what you can and can't afford, because when you prioritize something, that makes a difference. And I knew in that moment at the beginning of 2022, I knew that I wanted to be held radically responsible, and I knew the next level of me, that next version of me, the one that literally did what I did now, quit my job, go all in on my business, replace my income and some, and have total freedom to be there for my kids, do all the pickups, do all the drop-offs. Like, I've never felt more fucking free in my whole life. And I feel like there is no limit now. And I'm so proud of me for doing it. And I know you'd be proud of you too, the moment you just lean into that. Just do the freaking scary thing and do it anyway, because you're going to work it out. That's where you have to go back to my first point. Listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition. Trust yourself, because no one else can do this shit. And I don't want you to get to the end of your life and go, oh, what could have been? If only I had to stop caring what other people think. If only I had to actually just back myself and did the work and put myself around the table with people who get it. So those two things were by far the greatest things I ever did. Trust myself and get myself around the table. Put myself in rooms with people who are doing the shit that scared me. Okay. Another thing that I think was honestly what got me here was becoming really vulnerable with myself. Okay. And what I mean by this, if I'm truly honest, is I had to get really familiar with myself, my fears, my doubts, my insecurity, all the shit that I didn't think I should have shown or could show or didn't want to show, because, you know, imposter syndrome is a big thing, especially when you're in the beginning, the early stages of business, or if you're pivoting or you're trying again. Imposter syndrome is one of those things. And you know what? I actually don't know anyone yet that hasn't felt that, who hasn't felt that imposter syndrome. But I think the more that you can actually remove the veil and realize that every single one of us has doubts, has fears, has limiting beliefs, has insecurities, has shit that they'd rather not talk about or rather not relive. We have trauma. We have all the things. Everyone has all of those. But the more that you can actually embrace who you are and start to learn who you are. And let me tell you, it's like a full circle moment, because the more you start listening to your intuition, the more that you start to be a bit more connected with your higher self, the more this stuff comes to the surface. And it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. But the best thing you can do is start to learn to actually love yourself, appreciate yourself, and see yourself. No one is going to see you if you don't see you. If you're there waiting for the clients, you're waiting for the money, for people to snatch up your offerings, for people to say you've changed my life. No one is going to do that if you can't see it for yourself, and you can't see for yourself where you have grown and evolved. You need to become the woman that you always dreamed of becoming. The one that you would always envision. The one that you would just know, that is who I'm meant to be. I know I'm supposed to live up to that, and I'm supposed to create this. I don't know how I'm meant to do that. Like, I have no fucking idea, but I know that that's who I'm meant to be. Then start leaning into what's stopping you. Start getting vulnerable with yourself. Start getting to the depths of your subconscious that is probably blacking out most of the stuff that you're like, I really don't want to bring that to the surface. Your shadows, right? I'm talking about your shadows. You want to unblock your shadows. Unblock the things that you think aren't lovable, aren't accepted. They aren't what someone who's creating this kind of a business should be talking about or sharing, or maybe you shouldn't dress this way. Like, there's so many different things that you can do. I know for me, I may have shared this before on the podcast, probably, it's God knows how many episodes now, 83 I think we're up to. So for many years, one of my biggest insecurities and limiting beliefs was that I felt like a failure. Now, isn't that funny? A full circle moment, I can talk about it now in retrospect. At the time, I just felt like a total and utter failure, because my whole life I always wanted to be successful. I always knew that I would be successful. I never knew exactly what that looked like, but I knew that it meant being heard and being seen at a global scale. Isn't that weird? That might sound a little bit cocky, but I didn't think it was going to be for coaching. I literally thought, music, I'll be the next Britney Spears. But that didn't happen. So I always knew that I was going to be seen and heard around the world. I just did. And then, of course, you get a bit cloudy and you start going down different routes and trying different things. But the thing that has always been under the surface for me is I always wanted to help people. As cliche as that sounds, I always knew I wanted to help people, because my whole life I'd always been someone that people had just been drawn to. I would meet someone, still do to this day, meet someone, and within 20 minutes I know the whole life story. And it's crazy. People just open up to me very easily. And I actually had a beautiful lady that I train with, and she said to me that, you just have this energy about you. You just have this real, genuine, caring energy about you. And look, I love training with her. Her energy is just unmatched. And whenever she's at the gym, I just know, my heart is just filled up when we get to train together. And that's what she said to me. She said, you just have that energy. She goes, I watch everything you do and I love it. And, I don't even want an online business, but I want to work. So, and I think that's amazing. But I knew that I wanted to help people, and everyone would open up to me all the time. And so, of course, it makes sense that I ended up in coaching. It all makes sense now. And my business is global, There were 67 countries that were tuning in to this very podcast by the end of last year. For 2 years, and it had reached that many countries, it just blows my mind. And that is just one way, right? But I had to go through this big whole journey of finding myself and trusting myself and learning about myself and uncovering all my shit and being vulnerable and doing things that scared the shit out of me and putting myself around the table, getting in the room, acting like I am the one that does have the 7-figure a year business. That's what I'm going for, and I will openly say that. And me talking about money also was another big hurdle that I had to overcome, because to me, typical accumulator, but money's something that I love to talk about. I've always loved money. I have always been someone who was obsessed with money. And, I probably like hoarded it more than spent it, but that's typical accumulator again. But I've always been fascinated by people that were super successful and had a lot of wealth. And I've always been intrigued by wealth building and property investing and all that sort of stuff. Like to this day, I still am obsessed with all of that. I'm planning my diversification of my funds, or our funds, I should say, of our funds. My husband and I, like, we have a big plan. We have a big vision. It's all coming to fruition. And sometimes it feels like there's a real big speed up. But I wouldn't have got to this point if I didn't actually go and nail that fear, that limiting belief of me being a failure. I dropped out of uni twice, right? I went and I did health science for a year because I was going to actually become a podiatrist. Fun fact. No, I don't have a foot fetish, but I was actually going to become a podiatrist. That's what I wanted to do. So I started doing health science because, annoyingly enough, but maybe, again, silver lining, I was just under the enter score of what I needed to get into podiatry that year. Fast forward a couple of years, I would have got in with the same enter score, so that's annoying. But again, it was a silver lining. So I went and did that for a year. I couldn't hack it, right? It was 3 hours travel to get to uni from where I lived. And I'm talking 3 hours there, 3 hours home. So 6 hours a day while I was working 3 jobs. So that was a bit too much for me. So I decided, okay, well, I'll just go to uni in my hometown, and I did nursing for a year and a half. And then again, that didn't work out. There was lots of other things that went on at that time that sort of forced me to do things differently. And so I ended up getting a full-time job, and then it just went on from there, and then here we are now. But I had to really uncover, why did I feel like a failure? Was what I was doing really a failure, or was it just part of my journey? But you know what? Then I got to this point in my corporate career, and maybe you're there now. Maybe you're at this point where you've just literally gone, that's it. I'm done. I do not want this to be my story. That is how I felt towards the end of last year. I'd been sort of like in and out of like, oh, do I go all in? Do I not go all in? Definitely scarcity would come up because I have had a job ever since I was 15. I'm 32 now. To then go, nah, I'm going to cut that tie and completely remove myself from an employee mindset and become my own employer completely. Like, there's no plan B here. We're all in. There is no other way. There is no other option with, 3 children to support, a husband, a mortgage, like all the things. It takes a lot to get to this point. But I literally looked at myself in the mirror and I just said, that's it. You don't want this to be your story. You don't want to keep working there part-time and just wait for your kids to get older until they're all in school and then do something about it. Do it now. If you're either all in or you're all out. Like, we know what this half in, half out energy does. And when you're not all in, you haven't fully committed, you're always going to have this backup plan. And what happens with the backup plan constantly, not that I think it's a bad idea in the beginning, but when it's time to just bloody execute and do it, right? And I knew that it was time for me to go all in. I had that full body hell yes. I had so many downloads going, this is your year, Carla. And the funny thing is, this year I actually turned 33. And the month I turned 30, I knew that by the time I was 33 that I would be full-time in my business. I would not have an employer. I would be my own employer. I knew that 3 years ago. But I just had to watch it play out, I suppose. Anyway, I hope this is all making sense, and I hope that if you are coming to this point right now, that you also know that you can do it, and you also know that you get to choose your story. You have to draw that line in the sand. You have to say, enough's enough. I'm done. I'm done continuing on the way that I always thought that I had to. I don't want to live like 99% of people. I want to be the 1% that creates my own freedom. I want to be that 1% that does shit my own way. I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel free. And if that's you, and if any of this is resonating, then look, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. 2.5 years ago, when I relaunched my business to what it is today, I had a little newborn baby, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And up until December last year, I was working 3 days a week, part-time. If I can do it, you can do it. There are easier ways to do it. There's so much that you can actually do, even if you have little time, just like I did. But there are quicker ways, and trust me, I've tried many of them, and I'd love to support you be able to do that. So with that being said, if you're interested in working together in a high proximity, intimate group for 6 months, then come and join Freedom The Mastermind. We start mid-April. It is going to be a masterpiece. I just know it is. So if that's for you, the link is in the show notes to come and join. Until next time, just remember, everything you desire and deserve is just on the other side of your own resistance. So take that next step, because literally only you can.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I would absolutely love it if you could please leave me a 5-star review and let me know your thoughts. Remember, everything you desire and deserve is just on the other side of your own resistance. So take that next step.